Today's Google Finds investigation brings us to an area that was once worked by coal miners. It then became a barren landscape, and over the years, nature reclaimed the area. But within that landscape, I found not one, but two possible structures. Are they related to the old coal mining days, or are they something completely different, unrelated? The one thing I can tell you is progressing forward on the Google Earth timeline is that nature really reclaimed the area, and over the years, those structures or items became nearly invisible in modern day. Well, are they even still there? Are we going to be able to locate them? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that means that you need to come along with me for my latest Google Finds adventure. I am following a trail system here. I just came down from that direction, and we do have options here. It does continue straight, and there's also a trail to the left. So I'm going to pull up my position on GPS, see which direction is going to be my best route, and we'll continue that way. According to my location, that will take us towards it, but kind of past it, where it looks like this left trail will take us more directly to it. So we'll take this route, and hopefully what we're looking for is not going to be too difficult to find. Low bridge. Now, although I've got another low bridge, I guess. Although it is a nice spring-like day, sunny out in the 50s, little to no wind. Foliage has not returned yet, which is going to make this ideal for locating these possible structures. And I could tell no one's been back on this trail in a bit of time. Looks like the only thing that's been back here recently are some deer and wildlife. Some tracks right there. But there is a recent footprint. So someone was coming from this direction. Peering ahead, a little bit of lingering snow on the left here, but the trail is winding down. I do see a pond on the right-hand side, or a swampy area, which is frozen. I'm surprised there's still snow, because we had a few days where it's been in the 60s, near 70 degrees, but we are farther north, and it's a bit more shady back here. And here is another junction, or a cleared out area. Just want to take a peek at this, make sure there's not taking me maybe somewhere else of interest, but it looks like just a little cleared out area here. Oh, look at that. Look what I see. There is a building. I did not have to go that far at all. I do see some little blocks of concrete in front of us, but let's get over there. Well, it appears that Google was correct. These targets are still here, at least one of them. And what I'm walking on is basically an area that's been reclaimed by nature, but I could see remnants of what I like to call the modern wasteland. Culm, silt, waste material. It's a worked landscape here. It's not natural. It basically looks how it does from after they were done mining, and then nature took over. Got some ice here in front of me. Got to be careful with that. Get through this. And off to my right is one building. But there may be more. This looks like more like a centralized area where there's different trails coming to this location. Some recently downed trees, some evidence of fires, and a structure. And I can tell you it's older because it's made out of stone, primarily stone with just a concrete shell around it. I don't know if we'll be able to get inside, but we're going to do our best to check it out and hopefully learn something about it. But as I mentioned, this area was worked by the coal miners. And there's a chunk of anthracite coal, also known as a black diamond. For how big this is, it's very, very light. About half the weight of a rock of this size. So we know evidence is pointing towards this being a building back in the operating days of coal mining. Got a down tree laying across the top of it there. So what we're looking at here is primarily the foundation. Pretty thick walls. They actually give you a glimpse through this opening right here as like a preview. Looks like we can get in on the other side. And looks like nature has reclaimed inside of it as well. This one may be hard to decipher what it could have been. We can only speculate, and hopefully someone watching who has knowledge of what they're looking at or is familiar with what they're seeing can maybe help identify what it was used for. I know there's different buildings for mining operations, such as a shifting shanty where the mine workers went in to change their clothes for their shift, basically get ready to go underground. There was also wash houses, there was sorting plants, a bunch of different buildings. So even if we don't identify its use, we do know that actually something did reside here, or does reside here. And here's something else. There's a trench right here with a stone-lined wall. All right, let's stay on target. Let's focus on this first, and then we'll move ahead. But there's actually windows on this side. And there may be a basement. There's a hole right here. I got a flashlight. Does this go somewhere? Doesn't really look like it. But it is made out of stone. That's not natural. There could be something underneath there. Before we head in, figure we'll do a measurement, at least at the height. I can't do the width of the building because I can't see the whole width, but I can at least do the height and the width on the outside here, so we'll get partial measurements. All right, it's approximately 9 feet tall. I'm gonna go on the side here. You won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to hear me as I get the width of the shorter side here. So it's just over 9 feet tall. Again, it's not exact because my hand is moving, and it's just under 9 feet wide this way. This length, I can only guesstimate just because I can't get a clear view of the whole entire building. I'm gonna say it's over 50 feet long. It's pretty lengthy. So at least we have some proximity, but we're gonna now continue down this side. It's gonna be actually really troublesome to get around the whole entire building in one clear shot because there's a lot of down trees. And this area does look rather interesting because there's a lot of holes or depressions in the ground too that kind of line up with that channel right there. So we'll just do what we can and take it one section at a time, and eventually we'll head inside, check that out. But I believe, like I said, there should be another building in that direction over there. But we'll do this trench area, and then explore further. Just to make it easier, I'm gonna leave my backpack there and we'll just walk around ourselves. Oh, look at hatchet. Looks like someone maybe was trying to make some type of shelter here. It's been here for a bit of time. It's rusty. You can see the thickness of the walls compared to my hand here. It's roughly about, say, 15 inches. And looks like it got chipped away there too, maybe for access on the inside. As I was mentioning, there's a lot of depressions here. They may not be coming through on camera, but like it's level here and it drops down about 1.5 feet right there. Okay, it's looking a bit more cleared out over here. Oh yeah, this is at least 50 feet long. We'll be able to get inside, no problem. And 100% someone was creating a structure or shelter here. whether it's just kids making a fort or something else, but that's what it looks like. All signs point to that. Looks like this is going to be our access right here. Like I said, no problem getting inside. It's actually opened all the way out on the end there, so it's not completely enclosed. It's really long and narrow, and makes you wonder what was mounted on top of this. Was it an actual building, or was there equipment on top of here? Since there's windows, I'd say good chance it was a building. Since we started up there, we're going to go down to the very far end, work our way back towards that direction. Oh, it actually is different up here. This part of the building has a bit more character to it compared to what we just saw. Like I said, a lot of down trees. So over here appears to be, I don't know if they're chutes or some type of openings. Like, well, they're not windows because the windows would have been up here. They appear to be chutes. That has me a bit puzzled. This window was bricked up, but busted right through. Just a thin layer of concrete mortar on the outside. Yeah, for whatever reason, these ones were bricked up. I'm also looking too, the wall on the left, hopefully it's going to come through on camera, is tilted. So it's leaning like that. It's at an angle. Graffiti, kids have been here obviously. There's a fully intact bricked up window. I'm noticing too, it's kind of neat. Almost looks like mini catacombs where the bricks were removed or hammered out and just left the cavity there. Looks like 1, 2, 3 layers of bricks. These have me a bit puzzled though. They appear to be chutes, like something would empty out through there. But as to why they're down there, because there's no openings other than that little trench area, makes you wonder. This one's going to leave us with a lot of questions. So here we are at the far end. Yeah, we have more to explore out here. There is a lot of stuff. This might be a bit of a lengthier video. So we're going to come back and return to this because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to jump around. But we have reached the far end here. And looking on this side, yeah, it is leaning. I don't know if it's leaning intentionally or it just happened like that over time. If I was to guess, it looks like it happened over time, that it was straight up at one time, and with the earth kind of getting soft, well, maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, here you can see the clear tilt of this wall. So what are your thoughts so far? What do you think? I think there may be some underground rooms. I do see some darkness over there. We'll investigate that. Like I've always said before, when these sites closed down, the coal mining business, and they raised the breaker, a lot of the other buildings, why were certain ones like these spared? That's one thing I never understood. Was it for historical value, just to show you what once used to exist? Was it just deemed to be too expensive to raise another concrete building? And was the top raised and the bottom left? Or was the top made out of something that was easily removed, such as brick or wood? Those are just things that go through my head looking at these places. But back in the day, here in 2025, if we go back probably 100 years ago, give or take a decade or two, most likely this was a really bustling, busy area. Was there a man working in here? Was there not? Was this a site that was only checked on from time to time? Or were people actually working in here on a full-time basis? The windows lead me to believe it's a building, like a structure. These chutes on the bottom leave me a bit puzzled. And this kind of parallels that trench over there to the left. So did they work in unison with each other? With so much time that's passed, it's really impossible to tell now. Unless you were to find a local who was, born here in the early days when this was still in operation and has an idea. But today, by myself, not too far from civilization, there is a neighborhood just over there, about maybe half a mile away. Out in this direction, it's more barren landscape. And behind me, even more landscape. It's like the old culm piles and silt piles and mountains. Well, with that out of the way, let's keep exploring. Let's head up to the other end of the building, head outside, work our way down to what's behind me here, and then go from there. This section of wall was knocked down, and looks like some of it's laying right here. Big pile of stone and rubble. This tree may or may not have had something to do with that as well. Maybe the tree was growing inside and fell over. It is laying on a piece of wall right there. That could have happened. Well, now that we're up here near the shelter area, you could tell they intentionally blocked it up here. And I don't know if it's even worth going through this. There's a duffel bag here. I think that might be a tent. There's a tarp. I'm assuming probably kids were making this as like a fort or a little hangout spot. They really brought a lot of brush in here though. It's almost like camouflage. But I guess maybe they lost interest on it. I could crawl through, but there's no real reason to. We already looked through the windows. It just dead ends right there, the wall. Well, I am happy we found it. We're 1 for 1 so far. I think the other building that could possibly be over there is going to be smaller in size. At least that's how it looks on Google Earth. And just to confirm that we are on target, I'm going to use my location right now. And we're going to pin ourselves right here on the structure. Well, according to where I'm standing, this is not the structure. This is... Okay. Maps confuse me. So what I see, which I'll screenshot here, I'm standing in a long, narrow trench. I'm using a 2016 map, which has it more visible. The long, narrow trench I thought was out there. That's actually the walls of this building. The building we're looking to find is back in that direction. It's a squared off building. This is the long, narrow one. I mistaken this image for that trench there, but we're in a building, not the one I was hoping to find first. So that means there's possibly 2 more buildings out here. I'm glad I checked because otherwise I would have mistaken this for that and we may have missed something else out here. So now that we know where we are, we know we have to go further back for the original structure I was looking to find, and then head in that direction for the third structure. So it turns out we're getting more than we bargained for, which is definitely not a bad thing in this case. Well, here we are in what I'm calling the trench system. 2 stone-lined walls. They kind of start or end right there. They're about waist high. Built pretty well, covered in some nature's carpet now. And all we could find out or ask ourselves is what was on top of here or what was inside of it. Width-wise, it's only maybe 7 to 8 feet across at the most. That far away from the building. Oh, look at this. So this tree toppled over and exposed more of it underneath there. So it did continue in this direction. There's another trench right here, not as big. Roughly the same depth though. And you could kind of see some of those depressions I was talking about right there. You know what? Looking now at the building from outside here, what I was calling those chutes back there, they may have been here the whole time. It's just that the inside curvature part is missing, but there's openings under each one. And I'm calling them windows. They may not have even been windows, but today they look like windows. But we're walking right now on a upper portion. Oh, look at free chocolate. Want some? And on both sides of this upper portion are trenches. I thought my eyes were playing tricks, but I don't believe they are. I do see something else back there. This is going to be a much more thorough investigation and exploration than I anticipated. Oh, here's looks like a little tunnel or bridge. Yeah, it just passes underneath. Looks like just a little bridge, that's all it is. So, was water in here? Or was this storage for coal? Or, you know, I was thinking maybe an ash dump for a railroad. But I don't think I saw any evidence of tracks or a rail line here. Unless there was maybe mine carts, but it could have been little storage troughs. All right, we're now in the back section here. And yeah, there's some darkness down there. Appears to be a room. I don't know if it goes anywhere, but we're going to find out. As we saw from the interior of the building looking out, something else was here. Trough system continues all the way over here, although it's not as clearly evident whether it's filled in now or it ended somewhere over there. But it is leading to this direction here. Well, let me check it out first. See what it looks like. And honestly, I need to be careful this time of year because with the warmer temperatures, that means that bear season is going to be around the corner where bears are coming out of hibernation. And wouldn't be surprised if they take shelter in places like this. I have to be careful too, because although it is stable right now, it does look a bit precarious. Now I can tell you just from looking here, it doesn't go down. It's not a mine. It's like an underground room, and I see daylight on the other side. So let me take a peek from here instead of crawling in and out twice. We'll go in together. I do see a combination of different materials too. Some graffiti down here. But it looks like a basement or a lower section of a room. On the outside here, this concrete has pipes sticking out of it. That one's got some threads. And then some either anchor bolts or rebar sticking out. All right, we're going to try to do this together safely. I'm going to have to get my gloves out of my backpack. I forgot to put them on. Yeah, that just fell on my head. Well, we're inside. Did get pelted with a rock or a brick. This is a neat little room though. I could tell you before I show you, the top is curved. It's like an arch. There's a brick sitting on top of a concrete wall. It says, I love my something paints. This is what we're looking at here. There's the curvature. Something laying across there, partially plugging it up. A lot of stalactites hanging down, which is from the concrete. It's like a secretion almost. Staining the brick wall there. See, there's like a lip right there that the bricks are standing on top of. And then it's concrete here. This may have been deeper at one time. Brick on that side, some are missing. Large section missing right here, which is pretty much laying right where we are. And then it's brick above me. And that is brick, but it's got a concrete covering on it. I wonder if it's easier to come out this side here. Maybe. There's all ice here, so it's kind of slippery footing. But I think it's probably safer. I feel like the groundhog or a prairie dog. Okay, we're safely out. Gave me a little bit of concern when that brick fell on my neck, back of my head. I probably bumped it though. Just made it out of there. Here's the back side of it. Another brick wall. And as we come over here, a rather large big pillar or support. Yeah, that's a pretty big support of concrete. There's a pipe with a railroad track coming out of it. This area is pretty fascinating. Now looking further back, that's the building I was coming to find. And I'm mistaking it for the one that we were just in. So we have yet to explore that. This is like a labyrinth of concrete and ruins here. Like here is a little notch here with like a inlet. Oh, there's actually a bridge here. A manway bridge. Look at that. There's actually steps going up, so that's for people to cross over. Again, what was in here that people had to walk over it? So over there is where we just came out of. This here is notched out. Some more steel coming out of it on both ends of it. Another wall. More ruins. We still have to go back there. This is like a jackpot of a location. How cool is this? A nature's carpet covered bridge. There's a piece missing right there, but it feels pretty solid. So here's a pit channel area. Big tree growing out of it, so it hasn't been used for many, many years. It's filled up here, but then it's opened up again right down there. And this is in same alignment with that original channel that we found up there. Although this one appears to be a bit wider over here, it's all, for the most part, lined up. But something was in front of it here. I had to go back to get my bag before we press forward. There are a couple of things I could tell you though. Boy, everywhere I look, there's just more and more to see. Number one is that if we came during the summer months, 90% of this would not be visible. And if it was, we would have even a harder time navigating through it. Number two, honestly, I was anticipating this to be a short video, probably 20 minutes or less. I knew it wasn't far to get to the locations, and I was only expecting to find one or two just quick ruins. This has turned out to be a whole lot more than I anticipated. But it's one of the few times though that's actually a good thing that we're finding more. and that we didn't anticipate it to be like this, and we didn't really consider what else could be out here. But a lot more to explore, so let's keep moving. Right here are some pipes going through. Looks like it goes underground there possibly. And here as well, which I spotted from a distance. Oh, look at that, it goes all the way through. Everywhere you look, there is something to see. I'm blown away. And as I'm exploring this site, it gives me familiar vibes of a location I filmed earlier this year. And that is the Exeter Colliery Ruins, the Exeter Breaker site, where I found that underground chamber, which was the bottom of the boiler house. I was crawling on my hands and knees through there. But there are a lot of areas similar to this too, except there's more of them here that are still exposed and intact. Even like right here, a little Easter egg. Looks like a cable would have been passed through there. What do you think we should do? So we covered that building. We covered that trench canal area all the way back to here. We covered this, the bridge area. We have the original target back there, the building. And then we have what I found also over there. I think we'll go over here, work our way over, because we still need to go in that direction to find possibly another structure. So just to show you proximity, we just came from that area. The building's there. The little nature's carpet covered bridge is right there. And now we have another section of ruins. This one's a bit more substantial. Oh, it's actually pretty deep in here. There's a lot going on here. Well, let me place the bag down and we'll start exploring. I didn't even know where to start. I guess we're just going to cross over here. Yeah, that's a good depth. Let me get out my gauge. When we get down there, I'll be able to see exactly how deep that is. Oh, look at that. Looks like it might go underneath there. So it appears it ends or begins over here with a building or a foundation with some holes in it. One on each corner. A little tiny support right there and a little tiny square in front of that. Over there, there's nothing. But here, something substantial was here. I wonder if this was maybe the breaker site. It's fairly deep, a lot of concrete. See some iron I-beams coming out of the concrete as well. There was either something going on inside of here or something big and heavy mounted on top of here. Could have been a breaker for processing the coal. There's also a circle right there too. Little trench coming through here. A wall right here that we just walked through. Before we go inside, let's do the perimeter. Then we'll get inside and check from there. I'm gonna keep you guys rolling for this section just to kind of take it in together. Yeah, there's another little shaft right there, as I'm calling it. Another one here. And it opens up inside of there. There's even more back here. This place is ridiculously large. Holy crap. Okay, so where we started, we came in over there where my backpack is. Depending on the orientation, this is either the front or the back. This is a better look at the I-beams coming out. Some more hardware coming out as well. Don't know what's hollow, what's not. That circle looks intriguing. Wonder if like a pipe came through there. That actually might be in line with that opening that I saw that we still have to explore. Still a good bit of snow in here too. All right, enough from the top. Let's get inside. I am really interested to see what we're gonna come across. I guess it's gonna be easiest to come in over there. Once inside, we'll turn this on, get some readings, and then see if there's any openings that do lead elsewhere. Okay, we drop down inside. So here's like some of those chute openings. The shaft is above it, as I called it. This looks really cool. Look at this. Completely round opening here. And the snow is surprisingly deep. And where does that go? Does that go somewhere? There is an opening down there. I don't know if it's passable to get in there. Let me see. Yeah. There's a sheet of ice right in front of it. That's going to be kind of precarious. It's got a curved top to it. Something passed through there, and I'm thinking maybe came through this opening here and flowed out into here. I do see supports here, so maybe there was a pipe that we passed through underneath here. I-beams are actually having some stalactites on them. See the hardware bolting them together. Steel braided cable right in front of us. I-bolt or I-hook right there. And then that's just one of those shafts right there, as I called it. And then come around the back here. Circles around. The opening in the wall right there is to the right. Yeah, it just goes around. So if something was residing on top of here, I believe, because the thick concrete here, the I-beam is going through it, which my old light does have a magnetic base. Almost looks like train track, but it's not. It is 100% an I-beam. A lot of steel and concrete here. And here's a closer look at some of those stalactites. That is a really neat looking piece there, though. I've yet to come across something like that at an old colliery site. Well, I think I'm going to crawl in there. Oh, before that, let's get some readings. So obviously we can't get extremely accurate readings because the ground is not level, but I'll give you just a couple here. So I'll do from right in front of us, the base to the top, and then that one's higher. We'll do the base to the top of that. I gotta find a clear spot here. It's 1, 2, 3. So it's 7 feet 3 inches. This wall right here, which next to me, I'm 5'11", that's about right. We'll do this one here, it's a bit taller. So this one's gonna be tricky because it's not a clear wall, but I'll do what I can. 1, 2, I don't know why I'm counting, but I am. And 3. That is 8 feet 7 inches, so pretty close to accurate, I think. I could do the diameter of this hole too, which if you follow me around this way, you'll be able to see me do it. I'm going to switch the setting here. I'm going to do from the bottom of this unit here. So If I stick it right here, shoot across, 3 feet 6 inches? That looks bigger than that. Let me try one more time. Yeah, 3 feet 6 inches. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can go further in here. Guys, I think it may have lost me, but I'm in here. There's a sheet of ice like I explained. And I'm gonna, oh, there's water. Yep, ice broke. Okay, so that hole that I showed you goes back about 6 feet. There's some charred timbers back there, and there's 2 little chutes off to the left and right. But it's not big enough to go through, and it doesn't open up. I could confirm that. And it's all wet beneath me here and frozen. All right, crawled through the top, got my gloves. I'm better now. So I'm not gonna bother bringing you in there, although visually I like to show you. There's nothing really to see. I showed you from here, there's an ice sheet that crunched down. There's water underneath that, so I did get a little bit wet. That hole goes straight back. It's just a little square opening. Maybe a really tiny individual could fit through there, but it's no more than 6 feet in length. Some burned ties, some burned timber back there, chunks of wood. Then to the left of that, before that, 2 little chutes that go back maybe 2 or 3 feet. So this is a bit perplexing what it could have been, but completely round diameter opening, that curved ceiling there, and it's all made out of concrete going underground. But I've never seen anything like this before, so I'm gonna be curious if anyone in the comments does have an idea what we're looking at or what it could have been used for. Just to show you though, the round opening is right there. That curved archway is directly beneath us, and it only goes about as far as here. Then it just dead ends. So other than just some little depressions, I don't see where it would have continued, although it is in line with these areas. Oh, okay. Maybe I just connected a couple dots. These pipes here are going directly to that opening. Did they continue all the way through? Possibly. Maybe I mistaken burned pieces of wood as sections of pipe. That's about big enough for a few pipes to go through. I think that's a probability that what that opening was used for was for pipe access. It's directly 100% in line of that opening. So I think we may have answered one of our questions. Although that opening seems much too large for just a few small diameter pipes. But regardless, that's the only clue leading to what it could have been used for. Where we came from is just straight over there. And here is the other area that I found too. Not nearly as significant, so we don't have to spend too much time here. But just to briefly show you what's still hanging around. Got like a big nail coming out. Corner piece right here. Little wall on the inside. But then back here is something else. Another big foundation. You can see the clear outline perimeter of it. Another little channel area. Looks like another one on this side too. Just gonna double check it. Yeah, that's all it is there. This one looks like a more traditional building. It's certainly the largest of the ones we've come across so far. Looks like this could have been the entryway right here. And the strange thing, well, not really strange, it kind of makes sense because of how nature has reclaimed it. A lot of these additional things we're finding weren't even showing up on Google Earth or Google Maps. The Earth has reclaimed it so much that unless you find a particular year where the foliage is down, it's all pretty much hidden from satellite view. So now we have the building that we originally came out to find, and what I presume that we already found. And I just found the steps to it. So that does confirm probably this was another building as well. And we would have been able to walk inside from here. So now it's pretty much gutted foundations here. It's an open kind of chamber going around it and some inner supports here. So I guess our best bet is probably to walk the outside. Not a huge building. And based on what we see here, I think it's more than just a building. There's probably some type of machinery or something going on inside of here, since it's not completely flat. There is different supports or footings here. Here's a good view from the corner. Although I can get inside, I don't really see the need to, because we can see everything from here. There's a piece of plywood someone placed there. It looks like maybe to walk across. And right by the piece of plywood, there is a really thick diameter anchor bolt coming through. So that leads me to believe that something was inside of here as far as machinery or equipment. Wondering if maybe this one or the larger one could have been the boiler house. And there we can see the ruins that we explored already. I'm also going to pull myself up on GPS to confirm that indeed this is the spot that we started out on to locate today. So we accomplished our goal. It just took longer for us to get there because, well, you saw why. Okay, so I'm going to use Google Maps first, which the image is pretty much thick with foliage. You're not going to be able to see much, but I am going to take it anyways. And then thankfully I could use Google Earth on the historical timeline. And it looks like 2016 is a good time frame where there's not a whole lot of foliage here, and allow us to see exactly what we're standing by. Yeah, it shows us standing pretty much right on top of this building. Well, now we're officially 1 for 1 that we found this building, documented it. But if you think about it, we're now probably about 5 for 5 with everything else. So now I want to head away from this direction. And I think there is something else. So there's a trail here. Let me get down to that, it'd be easier to travel. Okay, so looking at the maps, excuse me, the building was, well, let me stand the way I saw it on the map. The building was there to my right, and what we saw was to the left. So let me go ahead this way a bit. I think I just found a treehouse or a hunting blind. That's not what we're looking for, though. I think it's a treehouse. It's pink. Yeah, I don't see anything in this direction, and I could see a good distance, at least 50 to 100 feet. Just a lot of fallen trees. This is going to be taking me away from it, so let's go. You know what? I want to check out the treehouse, so let's go check that out right now. I don't know if that's a treehouse or a hunting blind, but there's a few things around here. But look what I just found. The other structure, or at least the foundation of it. It is pink camouflage. I thought for a second it was a pink treehouse, like maybe Barbie's little she shed or something like that. They even spray painted the wood camouflage color. I'm not going to bother going in. It's not my stuff, but was curious as to what it was. It did appear to be a pink treehouse. I saw the corners looked like roofs, like your traditional treehouse, playhouse. But now that we know what that is, that led us to our next finding. Well, based on what I saw on Google Earth, this one does not surprise me that it's probably the most grown in and least amount to see out of everything. It's just another rectangle foundation here. I do want to get to the inside because there is something protruding out over there. I just want to check that out. But otherwise, there's honestly nothing to see here. It's just brick and some concrete forming a rectangle here. That might be the entryway there. That's the only place I want to check. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the entryway. Steps leading right up to it with some gorgeous nature's carpet there. Little vestibule area. And then you have the main building. This could have been an office area, office building. There's a little walled off room there. One of these could have been a pump building too, for pumping water on the site. That could have been an area where we saw with the pipes over there. So that could have been what we're looking at. As far as I know, I think that's the last structure. I'm going to go up here a little bit just to clear the area. But as I was mentioning earlier, if indeed what we found is a colliery breaker site, which I believe we found based on the landscape here of old coal workings, each of these buildings had its purpose. And I don't know all the buildings that would have been used, but I know there's a pipe right there coming out of the ground. There's obviously like a boiler house, probably like a pump house. And since we saw that pond over there, maybe that could have been the water source. They would have had the shifting shanty for the employees, a wash house for washing the coal. So there's a multitude of buildings that go into the operation of coal mining. A couple of footers over here. I don't see anything else. This is bringing us back to that convergence area that we stumbled upon earlier, where I said like the trails are all leading here, and there was that couch. The buildings over there to the left, the large building that we first checked out. Now, as to where the mine was, that I don't know. I know you could find it on the mine maps. I didn't bother checking that. That wasn't really my interest today. My interest was the ruins and these targets. And it just goes to show that if it wasn't for me checking Google Earth and finding a little tiny speck on the map and then digging back to the previous years, exposing more things, I never would have found this. And there's always a chance these things won't be here. Although they're showing up on the 1992 map, here in 2025, a lot of things get raised. But my hunch was that if they've been here through the following years, they're probably still going to be here. And as I talk, I'm going to walk up this side of the trail just in case I do spot anything. But I think everything's primarily in that contained area. But we definitely combed this area pretty well. Got a little bit dirty, which is to be expected. Had that brick follow me. Thankfully it didn't hurt me, but it was concerning that maybe more than might fall. But luckily we did get out there safely. But when you explore these places, you're obviously exploring at your own risk. And things like that could happen. Got my gloves on a little bit too late, but I guess better late than never. The measuring device, laser measuring device, did come in handy. We got a few readings, but when there's so much foliage and obstructions in front of the walls, it's nearly impossible to get true accurate readings So did what I could. The rest of it, I gave you my approximate thoughts and readings on what we're looking at. And here's something like is that a woodpecker? No, he's not going to do it. There it is. Yeah, sounds like one. With that being said, I'm glad that this target did not fail. It did not disappoint. And this ended up being a lengthier video than anticipated. A lot of my recent Google finds of interest have been on the shorter side. And it's nice to mix in a longer one, especially when there's more things to find. When a location offers us more than we anticipate or expect, that's never a bad thing. Also, the land is not posted. There's no problems coming back here. There's obviously signs that people have been back here with graffiti, the little shelter they're making in the building, the hunting blind. So I had the place to myself today, and I am really satisfied with what we checked out. That means I'm gonna be on to my next video, my next location. Now, if you do want to see where I'm heading next, make sure you do tune back to the channel. Otherwise, thank you so very much for coming along for this latest Google Maps adventure. We know what we found. We found more than we thought. And at the end of the day, it's another piece of history, coal mining history, documented here in Pennsylvania. With that being said, thanks once again for watching. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.
Well, hopefully you're still watching. If you are, thank you so much for doing so. You are definitely going to benefit from this. So I did go back on the old map images and I found a few interesting things. Number one is that I couldn't find the buildings on the older maps, even going back to the 1930s. I found the location, but the buildings weren't showing up. But I did find the buildings on this 1952 map. As we zoom in though, the one thing that's going to stand out is that these buildings were already empty and abandoned and basically a shell of themselves. It's just the foundations of them. So although I don't know when this mine operation started, we do know it was no longer operational by 1952. But I heard myself mention the mine maps and I forgot I had that as a resource. So I did go to my mine maps and found some more rather interesting things. So I'm going to show you a few different overlays and images here, starting off with a satellite image of the area that we are exploring. This is just a regular satellite view like you would see on Google Maps. But we're going to transition partially into one of the mine maps, and it's going to overlay over this image, which is going to show where everything is in real time, even back in time. As it comes into the full image now, we're going to be able to see where everything was in clear, precise detail. As we zoom in, some of the buildings are identified. First off, the large rectangular building that we first explored that I mistaken as our initial target, that was the boiler house. And I think even somewhere through the video, I did throw out suspicion that that could have been the boiler house. Makes total sense with the large rectangular shape. That's not the only building identified on here. My initial target, which was the second to last building that we checked out, where I said it looks like there was something large mounted inside here, as well as far as equipment or machinery, well, that comes off as an engine house. So we now have two buildings that are identified, boiler house and engine house. But there's more than just that. We're going to slowly transition to a different map now, which is going to show some of the shafts. So as we overlay and transition over to this map, there are two shafts that are located on the site. There's a number 2 shaft, which was located right next to the boiler house. It was either next to it or behind it. We probably even walked right over it. It was right in that general area. And there was a secondary shaft known as the air shaft. That was over closer to the last building that we explored, with the steps going up to it. Didn't see any evidence of them there when we were walking around. They're probably capped off and sealed, but they are definitely on that property. So going back, we're going to transition now over to a third map, which is going to show not only the ground beneath the site, which is all mined out. We're going to zoom in once more because there's more identifying buildings on this particular map. The first building we can identify in this map is the large rectangular building in the rear that we checked out. We just saw the foundation of it, and I said, looks like this might be the entryway. That's labeled as a shop. So that would have had probably tools, supplies, most likely where repairs on equipment were done. There's also a smaller square building in front of that, also labeled as a shop. Again, for similar use for doing maintenance and repairs for the equipment on site. Now the building that I was inside of, where the I-beams were in that circular opening, that's labeled as a powerhouse, and that shows it being connected to the boiler house. So we know that the boiler house was supplying power for the powerhouse. That makes sense that we saw the pipes going in that direction, and all those little inner troughs and channels and canals that were throughout the area, including the bridge area, were all in relation for the boiler house and powerhouse. They were connected, working with each other to provide power for the colliery site, specifically the breaker. Now, the last building we went into, where the steps were leading up to it on the outside with the little vestibule, that's on this map, but it's not labeled or identified. We can only presume that was probably an office building, maybe a building for management, or maybe even like a break room for the employees. Although underground employees would have had break or lunch underground, this would have been for topside workers working at the breaker site. Other than that, though, pretty much everything else is identified. Although there are other things showing up, nothing else is labeled, so we can only presume something in the area was a pump house for the water. But we do know now the areas that we checked out, 99% of them are labeled and identified. We know there are shafts pretty much right where we were walking, and we know that what we're checking out now is just ruins from the past that were no longer operational into the 1950s. I thought it was worth sharing. It's nice to see now in full detail what once was, what's left today, and we now, without speculation, can identify what nearly every building was that we found. And if it wasn't for Google Maps showing up just that one image being the engine house, never would have found everything else. So that being said, I'm going to roll right now for you my photo montage.